Thank you, Morgan said, her tone so soft it was almost muted. She turned back to the mirror and pressed flat hands against her blush-colored dress, Chanel. Gifted to her from the company itself, because the Frederick family were longtime friends of the head designer there. The handbag and shoes also gifts. The dress Yara wore, also a gift. Tom Ford from Masari, another gift. "Where are my babies?" Christiana asked as she came behind Morgan and placed both hands on her shoulders. Their eyes met in the mirror. "Napping. No way will I be able to get Yara to behave if she doesn't get a nap before the performance," Morgan said, laughing. "Terrible twos. Something every mother must survive," Christiana said. She reached for the hairbrush that sat on Morgan's vanity. She picked it up and brushed Morgan's hair gently. "Let's pull this up, okay? You're promoting a children's charity. We're going for a class. A bun to the back would be perfect." Morgan didn't respond as Christiana styled her hair because she knew her protests wouldn't matter. Her voice was muted just like before when she was walking around unable to hear. People didn't understand her, so she had stopped trying to be heard. Morgan was just along for the ride. Splitting her time between London and the States, she had developed a bond with Christiana. She had doubled up on classes with the help of her family and Bash's mother. It took an entire village to keep Morgan in school. Morgan should have been pleased with every aspect of her life, but there was an unbearable grief that crippled her. Something was missing. Messiah was missing, and knowing he had spent his last days alone, thinking that she hated him, thinking he was unworthy of her forgiveness, would haunt Morgan for the rest of her life. She couldn't live after that. After his death, after her loss. Living was impossible. She didn't know how to love anymore. She tolerated. She coasted with Bash. Morgan was settling. Christiana removed the brooch on her white Chanel suit jacket and walked around Morgan. She pinned it near Morgan's collar. "There. Now you're perfect. I'm going to go wake those babies. Hurry now. We have to get the pictures for the Christmas card before we leave for your event." Christiana's heels echoed against the marble floor until she was out of the room. Morgan pulled in a deep breath and stared at herself once more. "Perfect," she muttered. She carried herself down the stairs of the beautiful home. It was royal, and just like an Atkins girl, she had chosen the prince. Or close enough to it in Bash's case. A true descendant of royalty. One of the only black royal families in England, in fact. It put a spotlight on them. It put pressure on her to be prim, to be proper. To love on Bash in public in a way more intimate than she ever expressed in private. His entire family accepted her. They loved her children. Bash was helping her raise them. She was grateful for him. But somehow, even with him doting over her every need, Morgan had never felt so alone. "Mama, my mama!" Masari's voice was like jumper cables to a dying car battery. It made her come alive, kept her chugging along. Her babies gave her life, because they were pieces of the love of her life. She had never gotten the chance to tell him that he was the love of her life. Many versions of Messiah. They had ended on such bad terms, and she felt the burden of that as she navigated her way through life. She wished the twins looked more like him, so that she could stare into his face every day until she left this earth, but they were her spitting image. "Hi, Mama's big boy," she signed. "I love you." "I love you more," Masari signed back. At 2 years old, he was just forming words. They were barely coherent, but his sign language was fluent. Morgan worked every day with the twins, teaching them to sign. He reached for her, and Morgan relieved him from Christiana's arms. "It's their thing, their secret language," Christiana said to the photographer, standing off to the side as if an explanation were needed. "My daughter's deaf, actually," Morgan corrected. "Masari is bilingual. Yara signs." "Where is she, by the way?" "She's right here."